No complaints and no regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets. But I have learned that all you give is all you get. So you give it all you've got. So here's to life and to all the joy it brings. Here's to life, to dreamers and their dreams. May all your storms be weathered and all that's good get better. Here's to life. Here's to love. Here's to you.
Wow, wow.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm here with a very, very special guest today from the United States. She's a philanthropist, a lyricist, and a music producer who is also the founder of Here's to Life organization, committed to celebrate lives. I'm honored to have Martha Taylor Lacroix today. In fact, I'm honored to introduce her to you. Hi, Martha.
Hi, I'm glad to see you.
Very nice to see you, Martha.
It's good to be here.
Martha, tell me a little bit about how you get into music and dancing.
I think I got to as a little girl. Well, I starred in this play Bye Bye Birdie, and I got in high school, and I was a freshman. And I got the leading role of what's her name? Anyway, in Bye Bye Birdie, and Rosie. And I think that started me off because it was in a little town, and I mean they just loved it, and I just felt so turned on by performing and what have you. I think that's what started it.
How many albums have you released?
I have four, I believe. Yeah, I have two Christmas albums and a jazz, and a religious songs of my father. It was well. The fourth is a season for fathers, jazzily seasoned, season for Christmas, and a season with expression. Those were my four.
I remember you told me about your father being a big community leader in your community, and you lived your childhood, you stayed in New York. You yourself and your father were part of Martin Luther King's civil rights movement. Tell me more about it.
Well, my father was a preacher and a civil rights leader in the community, and we did a lot of things at the church to create funds, raise funds to send down south to Martin Luther King. Now, my dad was a mentor of sorts to Martin Luther King because my father was close to King's father. And King's father would come and preach at our church anniversaries each year. And that's how I came to know. We called him Daddy King. And the older ministers seemed to be mentors for my dad because my dad's father, who was a preacher, died very young. So that's how the older generation of preachers took to my father, and my father and King, Martin Luther King Jr., It was like a mentorship type relationship.
So you yourself and your father were both members of Martin Luther King's movement.
Oh, we were a part of the movement, definitely, and our church was would send money to down south to support what he was doing, and my father was part of the movement that was triggered by Martin Luther King to create the Progressive National Baptist Convention, because it was a split between the churches, and it was I think the National Baptist Convention and the Progressive National Baptist Convention was formed around King, who wanted to change things. There was another mindset that said, "Slow down, you're going too fast. You can't do it that way. Just don't move through the movement like that. You got to slow down." And it just didn't work. They said, "No, we want it now." And King was about, "No, we want to have a movement now." And that's where the split came. My father at one time was the president of the Progressive National Baptist Convention.
And how about your childhood? I remember, Martha, you were telling me you felt isolated, lonely in your own house, in your own it was a palace-like house.
Well, to me, it was like a palace. I'm a little girl, but um, blacks in those days, I would have been considered really. There were others. It was just, but I would be considered having grown up very well. So I lived in a big house, and at one time, Dad had we had a chauffeur named Andy, because Dad worked for the city council or something. It was something political, and it's hard for a little girl to have friends that understood, that hadn't grown, hadn't had those kind of surroundings. It's just hard to process all that, and so I just felt isolated. They did the
So,
best they could, but I just felt isolated. This big house, and all that, and things
so
come over
what
you.
was mom?
Mom
Did
was
mom
a
help you?
mom was a teacher, and she began a school from the first to the sixth grade. And my dad and mom were partners. What you call a partnership, that's what they were. They were one. They worked together. And my mother supported whatever dad was moving forward. She was the one behind him that supported him. She really was, and a loyal person, loyal person. She had his back.
Were you depressed?
I don't think I would. I don't think you would call. I don't know. I know I wasn't happy, and I do think. I think maybe one time I would have been. See, we didn't talk about that in the particularly among blacks. You didn't talk about that, uh, uh, and I may have been, but it was so taboo. You didn't process it that way, and you didn't share that with a lot of people. And I stopped eating at one time, and that's when my parents took me to the doctor. So I'm saying, well, maybe I was depressed then, and they didn't know why I wasn't eating, and I just stopped eating, and I didn't know what to call it, but I know I did do that, and I did see them worried about it.
And you felt like you were like, I mean, in your community, you were living like in a mansion, in a palace-like mansion, but still you felt like nobody would date you.
Yeah, we lived. Our street was called Preachers Row. We had some of the most dynamic preachers of that era living on that street.
Then how did you come out of this kind of miserable feelings? Or
Well, and
in your view, it was a miserable life. So how did you
yeah,
come out?
and I want to make sure I give homage to those that raised me. I don't want. They were good to me. I had everything. They, it was not them. It was something inside my spirit, and they did the best they could. I don't want them to leave the impression that they weren't attentive to me and that kind of thing. They were busy, but they did what they could. I never really got out of it until I left home and went to school, and I meandered around for years trying to find myself. Yeah, I just never did.
And something in your life that you have never said in public, a big
Yeah,
secret.
yes. And I think that's what I was always processing and didn't say because that was taboo in to say your personal things because again a person of color they were trained, and I think it came out of slavery where you didn't talk adult things and you didn't share a lot of things. It's very secretive because the plantation owners may have been the father of your sister, and you just didn't talk about that. And I think it carried on from generation to generation. But I was adopted by my aunt. She's really my birth aunt, but she raised me as her child. So I was not raised by my birth mother. And I think that always had an effect on me. Well, if your birth mother doesn't want you, something must be wrong with me. I think there was a lot of it. There's got to be something wrong with me if you did not want to raise me. And it was always processing: am I wanted? Am I wanted? Am I love me, love me, love me? Am I wanted? Am I wanted? Over and over again.
So you had that feeling inside you that nobody wanted you.
Yeah. If she didn't, if your mother didn't, and I didn't know my birth father yet. I met him when I was 12. Um,
So let me make this clear. You were raised by your mother's sister.
by my mother's father's sister. So I guess she would be my great aunt. My
Great.
mother's father's sister raised me.
And then why did did you find out why did your mother uh, give you away?
I just, she had several of us. My birth father, from my understanding, left her in a lurch. They were married and they weren't making it, and they separated. And she had several. So an aunt took another brother, and another aunt took me. But I think we were really wanted by these aunts because they never could have children. And so I get the impression that this isn't working, but we'll take them because they didn't have a child. So um, I think that's how, and I think them out. I really believe that my birth mother did not, and I don't blame this on her. It took me years to get this straight, but she came up. She just wanted to be free, and she had polio early on, and she was in this iron lung. And as a child, and I said to myself, if I were in an iron lung, I'm a little girl, and I hear other people outside playing and stuff, I could see myself in there saying, when I grow up, I'm going to be free. I'm going to travel. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. I'm going to be free when I get out of here. I really could see how she'd feel that way. So when she had these children, I think we just bogged her down, and she genuinely, in her heart, if there were a way not to have us, I think she would have preferred that. And I don't mean that in a blaming kind of way.
Now looking back, when did you realize that you were adopted? You knew about it, right?
Yeah, my uh the mother that raised me, and bio mom, I'll call her bio mom. I just learned that yesterday with my cousin. That's what she refers it to. Bio mom. She said, I didn't want you to be lied to, and I didn't want someone else to tell you. So she made it known all my life that this is your birth mother here, and I'm raising you. I'm your other mother, and I'm raising you. And each summer, I would go and spend the summers with my birth mother, to have a relationship. On the other hand, another cousin of mine who went to another sister, same scenario, was never told until she was an adult and was trying to get some papers or something. That's when she found out. She knew something was, but she was, and I know the mother that raised me said, I wonder, did we do justice by you by telling you so soon?
You reckon, you believe that your childhood was, you had everything, you had all the facilities, and you had a very loving, caring father and mother, but still you weren't happy.
If you, if there something from within has to have an anchor, a sense of belonging. And without that anchor, and I think that's what brings me to without that feeling that you really belong to something, that you're really a part of something, I think you can go your whole life trying to find it. And I think that's what moves me to do what I do, because there is nothing more challenging than wanting to belong, than wanting to feel that you have purpose and you really are anchored in a place where you know you belong to something. And I said, if you can't get it the way you think you should have gotten it, then let's create a way where you can get it another way. I don't know whether that's possible or not, but it sure is worth trying, because there's so many people out here that don't have a sense that they really belong, and that someone's glad to see them, glad to have them around, glad that they're here, glad they were born. And I think what my adopted father did for me was, I remember I would be so angry with my birth mother sometimes, just angry. And I'd want him to join me in the anger. And he said, Martha, I can't do that. I'm not going to talk against your birth mother. I'm just not going to do it. He said, because she brought you here, and I'm glad you were born. And that's what I try to tell people when they have their birthdays and stuff. I got that from him. I'm glad you were born. I'm glad you passed this way. I'm glad I came to know you. I'm glad you were born. I think that's one of the most loving things you could tell somebody is, I'm glad you were born. I wouldn't have known you and had all this joy if you hadn't been born. So I'm glad you were born.
Are you happy now?
Huh?
Martha, are you happy now?
Yes, I am. I worked through all of that. Took me years. And I don't want anybody to take it as long as it took me. Because it took me years. I'm a senior citizen. Took me years. But yes, I am. And I feel good about myself. And my goal in life, what I want to do in life, is to do whatever can be done to steer people to feel good about themselves, and that we're all here together, and we've all got something we're working through, but everybody is whole, perfect, and complete.
So, in your childhood, you were a miserable child. You weren't happy. But today, as a senior citizen, you are one of the happiest person in the world. And tell me how that happened. What transformed you?
Well, first, I had very good friends that loved me. But from their own experience, they were able to say, yeah, I understand that. But they gave me the strength to stand and to keep at it and to not give up. And I would say that my adopted mother, I hate to even call her that because she was my mom. There was a certain strength she had, and same thing for my dad. They were consistent, persistent, and they had integrity, and they just keep at it and keep at it. And sometimes Dad would do, okay, baby, just keep at it, keep at it. That's how he was like, keep at it, don't give up, keep at it. And just someone being there with you and saying, I hear you. That you don't have to agree with me, but I hear you. That means a lot. And I'm not judging you. I love you unconditionally. And they have friends like that. And I've had a few that are really like that.
Having gone through some turbulent times as well as very good times, what is your motto or what is your advice to somebody out there, maybe miserable today?
Don't judge people, accept people for who they are, believe them. I've heard Oprah Winfrey say this. When people tell you who they are, believe them. Um, and really know there's nothing wrong with any of us that isn't wrong with the other. There's nothing wrong. We're just humans. We're all whole, perfect, and complete. And we all make mistakes. We all do this, but we're all here together. And if we could not put so much of our energy in pointing out what's wrong about each other and moving forward on emphasizing it and pointing out what's right with each other and that we're all here together, I think we'd be a much better world. No complaints and no regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets. But I have learned that all you give is all you get. So you give it all you've got. So here's to life and to all the joy it brings. Here's to life, to dreamers and their dreams. May all your storms be weathered and all that's good get better. Here's to life. Here's to love. Here's to you.
Tell me why you formed this organization, Here's to Life.
I think coming up, I always had a cloud of belonging, wanting to belong and be part of something. And I know what it feels like to not feel like you're quite fitting in. And I just would love the things that I had to work through to get to where I am now. I just would love to share something where others didn't have to go through what I did.
What is it all about? What is this organization? What do you do with Here's to Life?
Well, we have the conversation around what you do to live your life fully and keep yourself balanced so that you stay from that dark side. Because some people they get in that dark side and they can't get out of it. Everything that we do on Here's to Life is to help us stay into move away when everything's not going to be fine all the time. We know that. But when it isn't, how you get through it and how you grow from it and how you teach others the lessons that you learned from it and to how to hang in there.
So in other words, you are helping people in the United States and you try to expand that helping network to other countries in the world, all over the world, to celebrate their life, to enjoy their life. And those who are down or having some psychological issues or maybe depression, or even some people we know sadly are even thinking of taking their own lives. So you are trying to help these people to celebrate and enjoy their life. Is that correct?
Yes, and I want to add to that what really is a component is I think the more we all know each other, come to know each other globally, the more we're able to see how much we're alike. We're more alike than we are different. and to embrace that, because some of the things that move people into that dark places, they really don't know they don't know the other person. They don't have context of what other people go through, and particularly globally. So I love I love when we are all together and we learn things and learn to appreciate things from each other. I love that.
Thank you very much, Martha.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Long may you continue your journey, and long may you continue your campaign to save more lives. And
thank you, and thank you, and thank you, and thank you for what you do to interview and to bring out these kind of questions and topics. I thank you for that.